Hey guys, it's us again, Leslie and Jan from Functional Body Unit, and today we're going to show you a full body mobility routine that you can follow along. And we'll start with the shoulder, then we're going down to the spine, hip, and we're doing also knee stuff. For equipment, we're only going to use yoga blocks for today, and what's really important here, we don't stretch a lot in this class. This will be mainly focused on strengthening our current range of motion, but not necessarily expanding our range of motion, okay?
Let's get started.
Let's get started. So we first start with our shoulder. We first start with the right shoulder here. We find ourselves in a side lying position here. And what's really important here for the first exercise is going to be an isometric pre activation that we're going to do here for our right shoulder, internal rotation. So what's really important here that we make sure that our shoulder, our right shoulder here, is staying on the ground as we go into the stretch, so it's not elevating here. That's really important. So we make sure that our shoulder is staying on the ground by maybe rotating even more with the upper body in that direction and not being as open in the stretch. It's not wrong, but in this case you can make sure with this position that your shoulder has enough pressure to stay down on the ground. Then with the left arm, slowly press down the right arm and make sure you have this 90-degree angle here in your elbow, and you're a little bit below 90 degree here from elbow and shoulder. With this position you should find deep stretching sensation and still make sure your shoulder is on the ground. We're staying here in this position for around 1 minute. So it's a little bit of a stretch, but it's mainly focused on pre-activation, the shortening side and the opening side, so all the muscles get activated here that we're going to need for our next exercise, okay? So stay here a little bit longer. If the stretch is too easy for you, then go a little bit deeper, but make sure, as I said, the shoulder should stay on the ground. Nice. So for the isometrics we're going to do, we're going to push with our lower hand here or wrist in the upper hand, but not from 0 to 100 immediately. This could lead to an injury. We want to ramp up our maximum contraction. So we start with 30%. So give me 30% of the Pale's effort. So isometrics in the upper hand. 40%, 50, 60. Slowly ramp up. 80, 90, and 100% now. Come on. Fight. Give you more, give you more. If you have more, let the shoulder stay down. And 3, 2, 1. Immediately start to go away with the lower hand, but not pushing with the upper hand. With the own force of the right arm, try to go lower. The upper hand is only there for support. Really fight for it. Make sure your shoulder is still on the ground, guys. Beautiful. 3, 2, 1, relax. Good. We're staying on that side. We had this pre-activation now, and now what we're going to do, as we said, or as Leslie said in the intro, we're focusing on strengthening our range of motion. So we're going to do passive range lift-offs here on the right side immediately after we did the activation. So we target, or we focus on getting 6 reps in for our passive range liftoffs. We're staying in the same position, but now what we're going to do is find our passive end range again, so still in the deepest stretch, and now we're going to go out by 15 degrees, so go up a little bit, so there shouldn't be any stretch anymore, right? And from this position you should be able to lift off with the lower hand from the upper hand with your own force. That's what we're going to do. Hold the lowest position for 1 or 2 seconds, then go back to the upper hand. Beautiful. We aim for 6 reps. Beautiful. 3 more. Really fight and activate all the closing stuff here, all the closing muscles, closing angle muscles here. Nice. 6 reps finished. Perfect. So we immediately go to the other side and repeat that on the other side. Okay, focusing now on the left shoulder. Same position, make sure you find a comfortable position where you feel like your shoulder is not able to lift off. Okay? From here, again, find your deep stretching sensation. Elbow 90-degree angle, and the elbow is not on the same height than the shoulder. It's just 20 to 30 degrees off from the horizontal line. Here, 1 minute. Really try to enjoy the stretch and not cramping or breathing too much. Just breathe slowly and really sink into the stretch, even though it's just only 1 minute. Okay? Beautiful. Feel like you can go deeper, go a little bit deeper, but make sure the shoulders stay on the ground. We slowly rev up our pelvis contraction again. First isometrics. So give me 30% into the upper hand. So really try to push up. 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100% right now. Come on, full force up in the hand. Give me everything here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rails contraction. You are at your end range, so you're not able to lift off from the supportive hand here. Try to fight for it. Push down. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're finished with the pre-activation. The rails contraction, the last contraction we did for 15 seconds, is the stuff we're going to use now again for the passive range liftoffs, but not in our end range, in our passive end range, just a little bit shy above out of our passive end range. So find your passive end range again, slightly go out, like 15 degrees, around 15 degrees, and from here, 6 liftoffs, try to fight, yes, and back to the hand, fight, push down, beautiful. Make sure the shoulder is still on the ground. That's really important here. You should work with your shoulder joint and not lift off with your full shoulder with your full shoulder stuff here. Nice. Concentrate, take a deep breath before you start every rep. Nice. And then after the 6 reps, we're finished with our first kind of superset, but our first exercise for shoulder internal rotation. Next up, we have a shoulder flexion. For the shoulder flexion, again, we could expand our range of motion, but that's not our goal today. Our goal today is strengthening it, so we're going to do some passive range liftoffs for shoulder flexion as well. So you might need some yoga blocks, but for some of you it's still fine without a yoga block. We find ourselves in a child's pose position, so kneeling, then we sink back onto our heels. If that's too uncomfortable for you, then it's also okay to be in prone position here, but that's a trickier position because we want to make sure that we're not going into a lower arch back. So in this case, you might need to have a clean PPT, a good PPT, so glutes engaged, belly button into your spine, so you have and maintain the straight spine throughout the passive range liftoffs. That's really important. But in this case, we're going to show you the child's pose position liftoffs. And what's really important here again, we have to find our passive end range again because we don't know yet where we're able to lift off. So find your passive end range again, where you think, okay, if you engage everything and maintain a clean position, you're not able to lift off. So that position right here. So in this case, we just go out again a little bit of this passive end range where she's not able to lift off. And then from here, she should be able to lift off, so I can only barely slide my finger through. That's perfect for her, right? We're gonna focus on 6 repetitions here again. And what's really important, you keep your position. So show us one rep where you elevate your upper part of your, yes, right there. So that might be still sorry, I lost some words. That might be still hard for her, but that's not really what we want to focus and want to achieve here. We want to achieve same strong clean body position, shoulder stays down, and only the shoulder joint tries to go in more flexion. Also, don't cheat with your wrist. So wrist, don't go into wrist flexion here. Okay, everything's said and done. Let's focus on 6 clean reps. First on the right side. Take a deep breath and go up and down. 5 more. Come on. Up and down. Nice. Really fight. Yes, that's a perfect setup for her. She's only belly slide to able to lift off here. 2 more on this side. Really fight, engaging all that stuff right here. And the last one. Elbows always straight. Fight for straight wrist as well. Perfect. Clean last repetition. Other side. So same setup. Maybe you have a side where you're stronger, have better shoulder flexion. That is possible, of course. So really try maybe to find your passive end range again, and then determine where you have or where you should lift off. For her, that's a very good setup here as well on this side. So 6 repetitions. Let's do this. Straight elbow, engage the stuff right here and up. Beautiful. Take a deep breath, second rep. Nice. Maintain a straight elbow. I know it's hard. Engage the triceps, full arm is engaged here. Beautiful. Also, notice nothing moves in her body, only here her shoulder joint. That's what we want. That's perfect here. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Nice. Fight for it. And down. Beautiful. 6 repetitions done. Nice and smooth. Good job. Good. So to finish off our shoulder joint, we're going to do some blocked shoulder cars. You can either do blocked shoulder cars right in the same position, but again, if you feel uncomfortable in this position and want to go out, you can do it either standing or in a prone position as well. Okay? So let's start with the right arm here. 3 clean reps here. It's blocked because we block our thoracic spine again and our full lower body from moving and helping us to fake more range of motion. Okay, so 3 repetitions right here. So we start going up in flexion, straight elbow, and then we internally rotate and bring our arms back into shoulder extension. Elbows are straight, you see her whole arm is rotating, shoulder extension, and then back. Upper hand facing the thigh, then back with internal rotation and shoulder extension, externally rotating and bringing our arm into shoulder flexion again. That's really hard, and really fight for it to keep clean form here. Take a deep breath again, elbows stay straight, rotate internally, bring your arm back behind your back, set it down, elbows straight, up. And then externally rotate, rotate the head and the shoulder here, out, bringing you back into shoulder flexion. One last rep here. It's really hard. Make sure to keep clean form. Come on. Internally rotate, extension, last time back, really fight for it. Nice. And finish strong, perfect. Other side, then we're finished. Last 3 reps, okay? Yeah, a little bit better for you, so you see her actually fighting for it. Take a deep breath before you start again. And shoulder flexion, up. Internally rotate, fight for internal rotation. And you don't want to go immediate into full internal rotation. The rotation should happen along the full rep, right? Again, for external rotation, the same thing. Try to go through external rotation as you go through the full range of motion and not right away. Beautiful. Scapula is staying in place, perfect. Upper body stays strong. Nice. Last repetition. Beautiful. Up. Fight for it. Nice. Great. Internal rotation. She's really fighting for it. I know it's hard, but please also fight really hard. We want to increase our strength in our end ranges, so please fight for it. Beautiful. Great job. Good. So now we want to focus on some scapula work. First, we're doing some scapular cars to get a little bit of a warm up, but also to get more control and movement in our scapula joint. Then we're straight going back and going into some retraction kinetic stretches also for scapula. Okay, so scapular cars, you can do it standing in a kneeling position. In that case, we just stay in a kneeling position and we bring our arms in front of our body on shoulder height, and we don't want to lose this this straight line. So as we go through a scapular movement, just stay in that line. Okay, try to stay in that line. Also, what's really important, don't bend your elbows here. Okay, so we'll start going up, so lift your shoulders up, basically going into scapula elevation here. Then push your arms forward, so your fists forward. Imagine there's a wall and you push against the wall. Going into protraction and elevation, then go down. Protraction and yet now retraction and depression. Up, elevation and retraction, protraction and elevation, and down, depression and protraction. Don't lose the line. Really feel and squeeze your scapulas at the back and push your scapulas out at the front. 3 repetitions clockwise, and then we changed the direction. If you have 3 repetitions, then we go back, forward, up. Make this a smooth and clean movement in circle. Nice. Also make sure you're not falling into a lower arch back here, so I forgot to mention that as we started. Yeah, make sure you engage your core and your upper body so you don't compensate with other body parts, okay? So now, retraction pails and, not retraction pails and rest, so retraction kinetic stretch here. It's really tricky setup, a lot of people have problems with that, but that's why we want to show you that this today, in this video, because it's a very important stuff to do and to focus on. So for the setup, your elbows are not on the same height as the shoulders. The forearms are on the yoga block, and you should not be able to lift off if you maintain your thoracic spine, your thoracic cage on the ground and your forehead on the ground to lift up from that position. Okay, that's really important here. Stay in that same position. You see this position very clearly, and then try to engage all this stuff, so you pecs, front delts, push your forearms into the blocks and push yourself out of this position as far as you can, and then try to engage all this stuff, so your rear delts, your rhomboids, I think it's in English, and trapezius, to really squeeze your scapulas together to go and fight for more scapular retraction as you go down. So not let gravity sink and you sink you into this, you really control the eccentric and engaging all these muscles. You want to go and aim for 6 repetitions, so she already has 1, so let's do 5 more. Push up, maintaining a PPT and a clean spine here, no lower arched back, or very little here. Everything is engaged in her upper body, slowly sinks down, scapula is really squeezing together here. Then, from the starting position, push back up, pecs engaged, push up, and slowly back down into even more scapular retraction. So really squeeze them together. 2 more. Up, and slowly down, squeezing together. 1 last repetition here. Come on, fight for it. And slowly go down, controlling each centimeter, each inch here, and then we're finished with our scapula work.
So we've finished most of our upper body work today, or for now. So we'll go to the lower body, and we'll start with the hip. We'll go for some external rotation kinetic stretches, and we'll follow the kinetic stretches with some front leg hinges.
Yes.
So for the kinetic stretches, like for the internal rotation for the internal rotation work that we did for the shoulder, we'll use pails and rails to go in and out of a stretch, which is why it's called kinetic stretch. So when you lower down and get your upper body to fold forward, you use a rails contraction, and to come back up you use a pails contraction. So what that looks like is while he's lowering down, he's actually trying to get his foot to lift off while the knee stays here. So basically what you aim to do is this. So all of the tissue that is facing you, that is engaged to pull you into the deepest stretch, okay? And then from there, in the bottom position, you push your foot into the ground and your knee into the ground to get back into your starting position. So all of the outer tissue is used to push down and to get you into your starting position. So there are variations to this, or progressions. The easiest is to just hold on to the ground with both of your hands and then lower in and out of the stretch with the isometric contractions. That is if you feel like you cannot put enough force or produce enough force to go in and out of that with simply a muscle contraction. And then the next variation is to just have your hands, or one hand on the ground and the other one in the air, or both hands at your side, okay? If you want to have it even harder, have your hands behind your back or overhead, okay? So we'll start. Before we start, deep breath in, engage your core, build up some tension, and then start irradiating. So start building up tension and creating the rails contraction, trying to lift the foot off as you lower down. Try to maintain a straight back, tailbone to the sky. From there, foot into the ground, come back into your starting position. Deep breath in, rails contraction, lower down, tailbone to the sky, bottom position, push back up. Really important to push back up with your force and not just get the upper body back, because you can do it, okay? And slow, controlled push with the entire leg. Deep breath in, lower down using the rails contraction, and then pails push down, come back up. How many do we get? 4?
Yes.
Okay, let's go for 1 more. Deep breath in, lower down. Use all of the stuff, the tissue that is facing you. And from there, stay in the position. We'll use the same contraction. We want to get a lift off of our front leg, okay? So we want to get the knee and the foot to lift off. And from there, we extend our knee and straighten it. Lower down, a lift off, straight leg lift off, and then back into our 90-90 position. Okay, the thing is, we don't want our upper body to move. Okay, so we use our hands to support us, but then you can lean to the side to make it a little bit easier, or lean to the back. So the further back you lean, the easier it's going to be to get the lift off. The important thing is that you choose your progression and you choose your position before you start the repetition, because you don't want to move your upper body during any repetition, basically. Okay, so deep breath in, engage your core, make all of this lift off. Extend the leg, straight leg, set it down. lift off, hinge back into a 90-degree angle, and set it down. As you set down, you fight for the knee to set down first, followed by the ankle. It's not going to happen for most of you, but that's what you fight for. Deep breath in, lift off, extend, set it down. Lift, back to 90 degrees, knee wants to touch down first. And deep breath in, build up tension, lift off. Extend, set it down. Engage your quad, lift off, and hinge back to 90 degrees. Knee touches first, set it down. Beautiful. Now we're going to use a 90-90 transition to the other side. So from here what you want to do is you want to get the rear leg's knee to lift off first, and then you want to swipe the heel through, have your hands behind your back, swipe the heel through, and the other leg wants to stay on the ground for as long as possible. You basically will find yourself in a sleeper transition or a sleeper position. You want the knees to stay apart from each other as wide away as possible. Then you want to get that leg, that is now the front leg, down to the ground, and the second leg follows, but this knee touches first. Beautiful. From here, we'll have the same procedure as before. We'll start with kinetic stretches for our front leg. And again, we use the rails contraction, deep breath in, rails contraction, try and get the foot to lift off, to lower it down. Try to maintain a straight back, as I said, tailbone to the sky, and then push the heel into the ground to come back up. Repetition number 2, deep breath in, pull yourself deep into this position, come on. Feel the stretch in your glutes, push back up. Both coming in and out of the position is an active procedure. So both times you want to have active contractions, isometric contractions to get in and out. Number 4, deep breath in, slowly lower down. Find your end range, push back up. And last one, deep breath in, rails contraction, try to get the foot to the sky. And push back down. Beautiful. Reset, find your setup, find your position. Deep breath in, rails contraction, try to lift the foot and the knee off, extend the leg, straight leg, set it down. Lift off, and reverse it. Beautiful. If you cannot get the leg to stay straight, you can also have it from here just going into this slight, where the inner thigh is facing the ceiling and not the quad, okay? If you still cannot manage to do that, sit on a yoga block. That will help you as well, okay? So deep breath in, lift off, extend, stay hover, and set it down. You don't just want to fall to the ground with the leg, really focus on controlling the eccentric, both with the bent leg and the straight leg. Deep breath in, lift off, last one, extend, slowly lower down. Deep breath in, quad engaged, lift off, hinge back, 90-degree angle, try to touch with the knee first and set it down. Awesome. Good job, guys. We'll get into a frog position.
Yes.
And we'll start with frog pails and rails, but only as an activation, or it's basically only going for a short stretch and then going for abduction, pails and rails basically. Okay, from here you want to make sure for the position, straight spine, knee is in one line with the hip, so you're not leaning back and you're not leaning forward. Okay, try to make sure that you have one beautiful 90-degree angle in the knee. From there, when you have a 90-degree angle in your knee, you will have the heel directly underneath your knee in a vertical line basically, feet pointing out. From there, find the stretch and breathe in and out. Slow, controlled breath. I'm going to explain the pails and rails. Pails is pushing the knee into the ground as hard as you can. Rails is you try to lift off both knees simultaneously, okay? Make sure you not lift off your heels. That's not what we're doing here. We're only fighting for abduction right now. Okay. So, a couple more deep breaths. And then deep breath in, engage your core. Start building up tension. You building up tension?
Yes.
Okay, and then ramp up for the pales contraction. Core is engaged. You want to slowly start pushing the knees into the ground as if you try to get your adductors to touch each other. Okay? And 3, 2, 100% safest max effort. Push as hard as you can into the ground in a safe manner. For another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now you basically try to get the knees to lift off, both knees simultaneously. Engage your glutes, engaging all of the outer tissues to basically spread your legs even further. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Beautiful. Stay in your frog position, preferably in a deep squat. You don't have to get into the deepest if it's too uncomfortable, but try to get deep. From here, we'll focus on internal rotation. So we go for internal rotation lift-offs. Maybe I want to turn around so
yes.
you can see one leg at least. Yeah, great. So from here, we still have our 90-degree angle in the knee. And now what I want is you engage your glutes and you engage your core, and then you only want to get the heels to lift off, okay? What I don't want to see is anything like this, okay? So you don't hinge forward with your upper body or with your pelvis. The only thing moving is your ankle, okay? Basically, your ankle and your shin, everything else is not moving. So, if this is too easy for you, I'm going to demonstrate here. You can always elevate yourself on yoga blocks and then try to lift off from there, okay? So we'll go for one side at a time, just so we can put the focus on it. 6 repetitions each side. Let's start with the right leg first. Deep breath in, engage your glutes, and then try to lift off. 2, 1, set it down. Deep breath in, remain that 90-degree angle, lift off, and set it down. Deep breath in, lift, hold it, and set it down. As I said, remember you don't want to get your pelvis to rock forward as you lift off. Set it down. And one more. Deep breath in, lift. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, set it down. And the other side. Deep breath, engage your core, lift off, and set it down. Deep breath in, core is engaged, glutes are engaged, hold that lift off, set it down. Deep breath in, lift. Beautiful. And slowly lower down. Control the eccentric as well. Deep breath, lift, and hold, set it down. 2 more to go. Deep breath in, engage your glutes, lift. Slowly lower down. Knees always on the ground. Deep breath in and lift. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and lower down. Beautiful. You can now come out of your frog position. We'll move on to some knee stuff. We'll do some knee cars. We'll start with half knee cars. You can do them on the floor. We use a slider because of our mat. We cannot slide very good on our mat, but you can also use a towel if you want, or you can just use socks and then slide on your floor, basically. Good. From here, what you want to do is you start in full knee flexion, or as much knee flexion as you can. And then from there, you will try to find, before we start, you will try to find internal and external rotation. So full leg is on the ground, not leg, the foot. And then you try to find rotation. You can hold on to your tibia right here. That's the bony structure that you will feel right in front of your shin. And then from there, you swipe your heel like a windshield wiper from left to right. And then you should feel that bony structure, as I said, the tibia moving as you move your foot from left to right. You can maybe even see it, like I can see how it rotates from left to right. And that's exactly what we are aiming for now. So find external rotation, and then from there, deep breath in, you slide your foot forward so you go into more and more knee extension. Try to remain or keep the foot on the ground for as long as possible, keeping the external rotation. And then before you enter full knee extension, come back with knee external rotation. And then at the top, rotate into internal rotation. Okay, so in a flex position, it's easier to rotate from internal to external. The more you extend your leg, the harder it's going to be to feel internal and external rotation, which is where we'll start in the flex position. And then keep internal rotation, almost full extension, and then come back up, internal rotation. So it'll make it easier. You can also rotate in close to extension, but rotating in flexion will make it easier for you to feel the rotation happening. You can always have your have your hand on your tibia if you want to feel the rotation. And one more into internal rotation and extend it as far as you can, and then come back with internal rotation.
Oh yeah.
You're so used to doing it?
Oh yeah.
With extension. So okay, other side. Again, on this side, try to find rotation first. So try to find and distinguish between internal and external rotation before we start with the cars. And then find external rotation. So your toes are pointing out. And then from there, extend your knee. So basically slide forward with the heel, keep your toes on the ground for as long as possible. And then try to find extension, and then with external rotation, come back up into flexion. Back in full flexion, you will then internally rotate your knee. Try to keep your toes on the ground, internally rotate without the knee dropping too far into internal rotation, or the hip turning into internal rotation. You want to keep it as neutral as possible. Slide forward with internal rotation into extension, and then slide back into knee flexion. And then at the top, rotate into external rotation. As I said, hold on to your tibia if this is new to you to feel the rotation happening. And slide back, or slide into extension of the knee. Slowly come back, try to touch the ground with your toes whenever possible. And find full flexion. One more time into internal rotation. And extend it. And back. Beautiful. From here, we'll go for some toe movement. So you can basically stay in a seated position and then basically have both legs bent in a bent leg position. Start in full flexion, and full knee flexion. Knee flexion. Yeah. And then swipe a little bit further forward. So coming a little bit out of flexion. And then from here, what you want to try is to lift off only your big toes. If this is too difficult, you can either slide further into flexion or more into extension of the knee. You can also always have one hand on the other 4 toes to make sure that you can lift off your big toe. So what you want to do is lift your big toe off for 10 consecutive repetitions. Let's do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Come on, halfway there. As I said, you can always hold on to your other toes to make sure only the big toe lifts. 8, 9, and 10. Beautiful. Big toes stay now on the ground, and the other 4 toes want to lift off. Again, you can hold on to your big toes and then lift off the other 4. And again, 10 repetitions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Beautiful. Now get all your toes into the air and touch the ground with only the big toe. 1, 2, 3. Make sure your other toes stay in the air. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Beautiful. Stay with all the toes in the air. And now try to touch the ground with the pinky toe first, and then let the others follow. So you want to play piano basically. Slow and controlled. We go for 5 repetitions. 1, all toes in the air. Pinky toe touches first. 2, and rep number 3. And 2 more. 4. And 5. Our dog wants to come into a room. Okay, great. Then from there, we'll go into quarter position and we'll finish our section off with the spine. So spinal segmentation. Usually a lot of people say, oh, keep neutral spine all the time. But then they don't understand the basic movement of our spine. Our spine goes into flexion and extension. That's basically what it does. It also rotates, but flexion and extension are the fundamental movements of our spine. And when you keep neutral spine all the time, your spine does not move and segment well anymore. Okay? So while it's okay to deadlift with a neutral spine, it's still important to know and control your spine into flexion and extension. Okay? So your nervous system needs to know, or your body needs to know, that going into flexion and extension is a safe place to go. So what we want to do is we want to start in full flexion of the spine. At the same time, you do not try to push with your scapula up, you only push the spine into flexion. From here, we'll start with the lowest part of the lumbar spine to go into extension. Okay, so keep the tension, stay really concentrated, and start with the lowest part to sink down, while at the same time not moving the hips back. Okay, hips always stay right above the knees, shoulders stay above the wrists. From here, slowly work your way up into the teal junction. And then from there, you'll find and fight for extension in the teal junction and then the thoracic spine. When you reach the thoracic spine, you can also imagine the spine pushing, or the chest pushing forward and out into the ground in front of you. Keep extension throughout the entire spine that you've already segmented, and then find thoracic spine extension, and slowly find cervical spine extension as well. From here, start with the cervical spine going into flexion, and then slowly suck the chest back in, vertebrae by vertebrae, pushing up into flexion of the spine. Keep the lumbar spine in extension for as long as possible, and fight for the upper part of the spine to find flexion first. And then teal junction, and then slowly segmenting the lowest or lower part of the spine. And again, it's not one bulk that is moving at one time, it's each vertebra at a time. I'm really impressed right now. I haven't seen his segmentation for a while now, and I feel it's pretty good. So that's what we want to have, okay? When you think of the spine, let's go for another repetition. When you think of the spine, start with the lumbar spine first, and then slowly find extension. The spine has around 24 vertebrae, okay? And then what we want to make sure of is that each vertebra has the ability to move on its own independently from each other. So they're basically 24 players, and those 24 players need to move on their own in order to like basically get the best out of the game, okay? If 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 players do not play or to their full function or accordingly to what they should be doing, then the other parts of the spine, the other players have to compensate for that. Which is why for us it's really important to focus on spinal segmentation, regardless if you actually deadlift 5 times a week with a straight spine or open your oven with a straight spine. If you want to do that, do it. But make sure your spine has the ability to flex and extend while segmenting well. Beautiful. And now find full flexion of the lumbar spine. Awesome. We're done with this little routine. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I know it's a tough one because we work on both lower and upper body, but it's not the longest routine. It took us longer than we thought it would.
Yes.
But I hope you enjoy it. Give us your feedback. If you want more information or want to get into a mobility routine that you can incorporate into your daily and weekly life, then check out our online Kinetic Stretch course. We have lots of classes up there, from fundamental and basic mobility to specific skill and movement work. So check that out. Give us your feedback, give us a like button or click the like button, and let us know what you think in the comments below.
Yes. Have a great day.